I want to show the difference in the all-wheel drive transfer cases GM used, specifically in the 01 to 06 SUVs, because those are cheap and it's really easy to get one of those for an engine donor, or people want to body swap the whole chassis. The 07 to 14s are getting pretty cheap too. But in 01 and 02 they used the Nvg149 with a viscous coupler. They also used that in the Silverado SS and I think some Sierras. 03 and up they used the 4481, has no viscous coupler in it, and they use the traction control to limit wheel slip. So if one axle started to slip, there's nothing in there to drive the other axle. They would just apply the brake to whichever wheel is slipping, and then that would send power to the other wheels. So I was researching all this a while back when I was planning some all-wheel drive builds, but I part out a lot of trucks and SUVs and have both sitting here, so I figured I would actually show it for anybody who doesn't know or maybe isn't understanding what they're reading. Here's a video. So you can think of it like the difference between a limited slip axle and an open axle. With the viscous coupler, that's like a limited slip. If I hold the output shaft and try to spin the input shaft, I can't. If I was strong enough, I could overcome the viscous coupler, but I'm not that strong. So this style with no viscous coupler, if I hold the rear output shaft, I can still spin the input shaft, and that spins the front output shaft. So if you're using this without the factory traction control, if your rear wheels start to slip, it won't do anything to drive your front wheels. So if you find a good 03 or newer SUV that you want to use for an engine, transmission, and T-case donor, or you're going to body swap the whole chassis, don't pass it up because of that transfer case. You can make it run and drive. You just won't have actual all-wheel drive until you put one of these transfer cases in it. These came behind 4L60s, so they're 27 spline. It's the same bolt pattern for a 4L80. You just need 32 splines, but the input shaft can be recut. This one's been done. And that only costs a couple $100. Depending on how cheap you can get a transfer case, junkyards want a premium for them because people want them for the viscous coupler, but you might find somebody parting one out or just has one laying around. And when I was researching all this, parting out trucks and stuff, talking to this guy about resplining that made me curious. Say you have an 03 to 06 SUV. You want to keep your traction control, but you want to upgrade the 4L60. How would you get 32 splines? This one is 32 spline. This is from an 07. So instead of worrying about trying to respline the 27 spline input shaft, this is otherwise the exact same transfer case out of an 07. So if you want to put a 4L80 in an 03 to 06, just grab you one of these transfer cases from the newer body style. It'll bolt right up, same spline, or 32 spline, same transfer case otherwise. The other option I know of is the one they put in the Bravada and Astro van. I have one in my 54 GMC. You can't see it with the truck together, but here's a picture. I forget what the number is for this transfer case. They used them from 84 to 97, and then in 98 they switched to one with no viscous coupler, and it used traction control the way that one did. This one was behind a 94, so it came behind a 700 R4. That's a 700 R4 transfer case adapter. I don't know if like 96 and 7 they came behind a 4L60, if this would bolt up to a newer 4L60 or not. I mean, it might have the right adapter. This 4 bolts won't bolt to a 4L60, but this is a 4L80. So to put this behind a 4L80, I needed a custom billet $600 input shaft, and I made this adapter, but you can buy those for $300. So that's probably the cheaper option if you can fit it in whatever you're building. Those are a little smaller. This truck is on a Bravada chassis. That's a Bravada T-case, Bravada front diff. Problem I'm having is trying to make a front drive shaft. The electrical connector's in the way because this doesn't stick out as far as the Nvg149. So I've probably got enough room in that truck to use that instead, and then use the newer style drive shaft with the CV joint in it. So I hope that helps somebody. I've seen a lot of people body swapping 03 to 06 SUVs thinking that they're going to have all-wheel drive in their classic vehicle. Just want to let people know that with that style transfer case, you're not going to have all-wheel drive. You need to find one with a viscous coupler.